All right, it is 4 o'clock. Let's get this underway. The way it'll work, friends, is I'll be monitoring the AMA text channel. I'm going to ask Grant some questions that you guys have been asking throughout the week. We'll get those out of the way, and then anything that we haven't covered or that you've thought about or are curious about, just feel free to shoot it in the AMA text room. We are recording this for real this time, and we will be posting it on our YouTube channel so you guys can watch it at your leisure. Let's kick it off. These are in no particular order. Grant, you want to say hi, hello before I get started?
Yeah, hey everybody. Thanks for joining again. Looks like we got some new questions teed up, so that's great. Keep them coming. And of course, at the end, anything that you think of that we didn't cover or that the discussion has prompted, just be sure to ask those because we'll open up the floor afterwards. And then just a warning, I am coming off of being sick for the last 10 days. So I'll probably be coughing at various points throughout this whole little presentation. So
Oh,
fair
amazing.
warning.
All right, let's dive into it. I am getting some feedback from someone, so let's mute that before. I think that's you, Grant.
Feedback from me.
I'm hearing myself through your channel.
You might. I don't have headphones right now.
All right, I'll deal with it.
Sorry about that.
No problem. Okay, first question. Is there going to be a possibility to do a campaign management? For example, pre-make the maps, world, regional, battle maps, and arrange it in folders. Possibly prepare encounters, loot, bad guys, all inside the platform using some kind of organizer. And I hope the answer is yes, because I know exactly what they mean and I want it.
Yeah, no, I mean, everybody wants that, right? And so, yes, there will definitely be that ability. Right now, we have the ability to save all your maps, right? And you can save them in sections or levels or rooms or whatever you want to do. We don't have a folder structure right now, but that's something that we're going to be reworking, if not for beta, then certainly for the MVP, on how we store that stuff. So you'll have that ability right off the bat. But then ultimately, what we want to do, and this is all part of the game automation stuff I think I was talking about last time. Yeah, there it is right now. So and this is all temporary work in UI, but you can save these all out as separate files, and we'll give you a folder structure that you can, arrange these in so you can easily bring them up. We'll also have macro capability, so you can, select a portion of these things and then save those as a subset, right? That you can bring in. Like if there's a little, village house that you love, you can bring that into all your villages or replicate it and do all kinds of stuff with it. So it actually goes with the excuse me, multi-level and multi-selection capability that we've added. Our developers have been hard at work, and we've got the ability to now select multiple items, which I know sounds crazy. We haven't everything was single select and move at this point, but now we have multi-selection as well as height, being able to build up in multi-levels. And all that stuff will be able to be saved in sections and stuff like that. So there's going to be that, but then ultimately, as part of the game automation stuff, we want to bring in true campaign management. So, you'll be able to attach, stat blocks and NPC blocks and various room descriptions and things like that to all of your items, so that you can pull that up. And have ease of access to it. So we're going to go much further than just storing these things in folder structures and files and macros and things like that. We want to give you full campaign management, but that'll come a bit later towards MVP or slightly afterwards.
Awesome. Thank you so much. People are saying that they could hear me through you and is messing things up. I don't hear the issue right now, but I think we're good. Or maybe if you can move the microphone a little bit farther away from the speakers. But yeah.
Are we good?
Yeah, I think people are just having a hard time hearing me because of the echo, but I think we're good now. Will I, and I think we've covered this before, will I be able to make an export of all my created content, meaning as a local backup or a cloud backup?
Yeah, so all of that stuff will be saved obviously on the device. You can also um, we have a whole bunch of mechanisms that allow you to share your maps using the built-in share sheets on your device. So, for instance, if you're on iOS, you can, when you have a map on the ground like this, you can go up and go into the file dialog box and choose share, and then you can email it, text it, AirDrop it, do any of the native capabilities to send it to any other device, and then anybody can open that up. So you can save stuff out that way. You can also save them out to through that same share sheet. You can save them out to like cloud storage or whatever. So yeah, there's all kinds of options for that. We'll also be giving the ability to do basically native cloud saves so that this stuff will be attached to your account. So if you're using it on an iPhone and an iPad, you don't need to worry about transferring those things. When you log in, you'll just have access to your maps. And those will be able to download and you'll be able to share across devices and also have a permanent cloud backup. If you need to wipe your device, you get a new phone or any of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, which I have done, with the various versions that we get and everything. It's going to be super nice to have it all just in one place and ready to go.
Yeah, that's coming very, very soon. We have again with the developers have been hard at work on our universal login. So all that stuff will be attached to your account and saved up in the cloud. So yeah, it's gonna be nice because every time currently as devs, when we rebuild this stuff, sometimes it obliterates the data, and so we got to reload all our maps and stuff. So for ourselves as well, it'll be nice to just have everything in the cloud and be able to download those things automatically.
Yeah, and that will, I think, clear up a lot of the difficulties with the cross-platform stuff. Android, Apple, PC, all of it being in one
Yeah,
place. It's going to make it
exactly.
so easy to load, and
Yeah,
I am very much looking forward to that. Okay,
yeah. If
will
you're using
everyone?
like your and you have a Android device, then everything will be in the cloud. You can, set up things in your iPad and then transfer over on the go, like if you got your Android phone and download them on there. So yeah, it'll be completely seamless.
Awesome. All right, I just started doing this at the wrong time, so I'm gonna go back to 3D mode. Um, will everyone be streaming to the Internet Arcana servers, or will it be possible to create a local PC server and everyone uses that content? Like, for example, how Fantasy Grounds Unity works. Sometimes internet bandwidth is narrow and it might be a bit of an issue.
Right. And we have been thinking about that. Currently, it will go through our servers. We are using Photon networking underneath, which is a big used by a lot of AAA games to do their networking stuff. So they're very robust servers with very short latency. So it's not really an issue for us. We're not like big network hogs in terms of bandwidth. But even still, we are looking at the ability to do peer to peer, right, and get rid of the servers entirely. So that won't be initially, but we're definitely looking at a method to be able to bring that on, so that if you're all together in a game group around the table, you can do peer to peer ad hoc networking kind of stuff. So that will be coming at a later update, probably post initial release. But that is on the drawing board for sure.
Amazing. Will there be
And
a
also,
way to?
by the
Oh,
way, the
go
ability,
ahead.
just one more thing on that. The along with that, being able to play in new ways, like turn based, right? So that you guys can log in, do your move, and then somebody's in the grocery line and they can do their move. Like figuring out ways. It's like I think I may have talked about this before, and I'm totally dating myself. But way back in the '80s, there was the D&D play by mail campaign, where you would literally they would send you the adventure and like this rule set, and you would write in what you were going to do and your action and your all the things, and you would mail it to them, and they would mail back all the results in the next action. It's like crazy. I still have the booklet on that stuff, but as a collector's item thing. But it was an interesting way to play. When you're if you can't all get around the table and you still want to keep going. So we're looking at using this platform like unique ways that we can play like that. How else can we manage gameplay and allow you to continue as everyone has time to make a few minutes here, a few minutes there, kind of thing. Not going to be the same experience, obviously, as getting around the table for some solid gameplay, but it could be a unique, fun way to do certain types of campaigns or sections of campaigns. So we're looking at that as well.
Grant, you're going to love this. In the find a party section of our Discord, the very last message was, I'm looking for DMs or groups to play by post. So there are still people
There you go.
happy to play by post, and if we can visualize, if we can make that visual for people, I think that's super cool.
Yeah, I think there's some fun things that we can do there.
Yes. Okay. Will there be a way to create hovering text bubbles that can be placed or hidden? I.e., say I want to have a note hidden somewhere, and then I would love to be able to just write the note in game in a way that if the players find it, it can just boop and there it is on the screen. This is verbatim, so if that sounded silly, not my fault.
Yeah, absolutely. We are going to have a full bubble slash stat system. So when you tap on a character on the table, various interface elements will hover over its head. So you will be able to see like your hit points and death saves and stats like that. But there'll also be a action menu that will allow you to do various things depending on what that mini or tile piece is. Like with some of the interactive tiles that we unlock with our stretch goals, you'll be able to spring the trap, you'll be able to open the door, you'll be able to change the intensity you flicker, or turn on and off a light source, all these different kinds of things. So that will be part of that. So you'll be able to add notes and stuff in there if you want to do some kind of custom bubble or note. And in addition, there's, like I said, with the campaign management and with game automation, there's going to be a lot more stuff that we do there in a more robust system in terms of note taking, journal entries, auto journals, handouts, and things like that. So we'll have some interesting announcements on that coming up in the future as well.
In the future. How far into the future, sir?
Eh,
You know me, I'm always trying to get that little extra sneak peek for the Discord channel.
yeah, probably a couple months, maybe even a month. It depends. We're having a meeting on it tomorrow, so we'll see how that goes.
Awesome. Okay, I know the answer to this already, but whoever asked it did not, so let's ask it again. Will we have access to visible status effects such as an emblem or a cloud for the poison effect or paralysis, etc.?
Yes. Short answer for sure. Yeah, we definitely want to have conditions. And that will be another thing that when you tap the character and the action bubble pops up, you can choose from the action menu and choose a condition, right? And paralyzed or unconscious or poisoned or all that kind of stuff. We'll do some cool effects to note that. So it won't just be like a, you know, standard little colored ring or something. It'll be a cool little effect. Or icon or combination of those things depending on what the condition is.
Yeah, that's gonna be super cool and very, very helpful. The next question's
Yeah.
fun, and I think it's got the 2D maps attached to it. Could we create a paper-looking dungeon by drawing or doodling tiles, walls, etc., scanning them, and porting them as 2D graphics for cartoon-style RPGs or comic book superhero style games?
Yeah, absolutely. We talked about this last time, I think. We realize that we're not, and especially initially, going to have all the terrain that you're going to want built in 3D, right? We're going to constantly be adding to this whole library of stuff, including fantasy, sci-fi, urban, horror, all kinds of different terrain and minis and things like that. But especially initially, and even in certain circumstances, we're not going to be able to have every single conceivable thing that you might want. And again, in the future, we will be able to give you the ability to modify some terrain and maybe, you know, sculpt it into what you need. But we do realize that people are going to want to be able to use some of the stuff they already have. So you'll be able to import 2D maps and drop them down like a battle mat in augmented reality or on that in the virtual 3D world that Eric was just in before this. And use those as you would like if you actually put a piece of paper on your table. And then you'll be able to upload tokens and things like that, similar to other, online systems like Roll20 Fantasy Grounds, but it'll actually be an AR on your table or in this 3D environment, and you'll be able to move them around. Or you can use like that base map as negative terrain, right? So like here, where you see the trap, there could be water under there, and it can be animated. So you have animated water or lava or things like that for negative
Right. So
space.
instead of seeing my desk, you would see a lava or a dirt or whatever you drew and placed down as a mat.
Yeah. And so we can do all kinds of things with that, right? You can use it negative space, you can use it for animations. You can, throw down your handwritten or doodled maps or anything you've scanned in or, whatever, and then use 2D tokens on that, right? Which is kind of, the bare bones solution, I would call it, but we're going to give you that flexibility. And then you could also use your 3D minis on that 2D map, right? So you could have your hand-drawn map and then use all your nice, Hero Forge minis or the Reaper minis that you've purchased or whatever, and throw them down. And you can also use that as a template to build, right? You can sketch it out and then bring all your pieces in and 3D pieces, or you could just have, the 2D battle map and then walls sections, right? That are on there, like some of the boxed games that you see along with your 3D minis. So this whole hybrid solution, we want to make it flexible so you can play how you want to play. And also just be able to bring in all of your creations. Obviously the true cool experience is using all the 3D terrain and all the animation and all that kind of stuff is super cool. But we do want to give you the flexibility to use other things as well.
Awesome. We have covered this before, but let's talk about it again. Will we have the ability to place to adjust player object height for things like flying or levitating, animate objects, natural wings, etc.? And this is a great answer. It's one of my
Uh,
favorites.
yes, absolutely.
There it
In fact,
is.
this is this is what we've been working on right now. Actually, this is all part of the multi-level and height system. So you're going to be able to build up in levels and layers, so you can drag pieces on top and just build up like you would in real life, right? And some of these pieces are maybe not meant to build vertically, like the dungeon pieces. We can certainly stack them, but it's going to be really interesting to see what you guys create with them. And then some pieces like village and caverns are meant to be stacked, right, and create all these really cool things. So we're giving you the ability to be able to drag and drop pieces up on top and build, but then you can also pull a piece up to any kind of arbitrary level and start building there. So if you want a castle in the sky, you can bring up, some floor pieces of the castle up to a cloud and then start building up there. So you'll have this build floor that you can bring up and down, as well as bring individual pieces up into the air, like a dragon or a griffin or anything like that. So the short answer is yes, but it's all part of the multi-level build system, which is in development right now, and we're starting to see some cool stuff. We're going to be starting a dev blog soon as well, so we are more frequently giving everybody updates in terms of what we're doing. So that stuff is going to be coming out as part of that. We'll also do some videos and post that to our YouTube channel, and of course, show it to you guys here on Discord as well.
Very cool. Yeah, I'm looking
So
forward to
look,
that development stream. I think that'll be very, very helpful and exciting, and gives people something to look forward to. Know what's coming around the corner. Of course, anytime I get updates, I will be building and sharing and live streaming. So you always have that to look forward to. I will not be
yeah,
your
I
eyes in
mean,
the dark.
what I should say, mention is, sorry, is is we've been kind of silent in terms of new things to show because we brought on these new developers and we've had to adapt the underlying system to support working with all of the different terrain types that we're now going to be working with in terms of, it's not just these 2 inch by 2 inch pieces you see here. It's a half an inch by an inch, or, half inch by half inch, or 1 inch by 1 inch, or, all these different things that we need to support now. So we've done a little bit of remodeling underneath the hood to support all this stuff, as well as multi-level builds. And so now that that work is done, you'll start to see, like, we're not only bringing in all the updated assets that we've got painted, including a bunch of really cool minis, which we'll be sharing with you soon. A lot of really cool painted minis. And so all the visual whiz bang stuff that you guys can see and go, that's cool, you're going to start to see because now we have the foundational underpinnings reworked to be able to support all this stuff.
Yeah, and I'm very, very, very excited to start posting more and start getting more hype going and more stuff in the hands of or in the minds of you guys. And then you guys can also let us know what it is you'd like to see, what kind of stuff excites you, what kind of stuff really has brought your attention to what we're creating here. This is a good question. Any map built during the beta, will they be able to access it at full launch?
Yeah. So this is a good question. And I think we did touch on this last time as well. We so obviously we have all these great assets that were part of our Kickstarter, and people have purchased various different packages, right? Some people got the Dwarven Forge stuff, some people got the Fat Dragon stuff, some people purchased the Reaper add-ons, right? So we are in the process of getting all the rest of it painted and bringing it all into the system. But the Dwarven Forge stuff in particular, obviously it's physical, so we're scanning all that. And there's been some snafus. We've tried to avoid this as much as possible, but by being digital, in terms of supply chain issues, but we need to get a particular scanner to scan all this stuff, purchase a scanner, and those are, of course, now on back order and have problems getting from Korea or wherever they're shipping from. So trying to get our hands on one of those, but that is what is keeping us from scanning Dwarven Forge pieces. We've got a service that's going to take care of these first pieces, and then we'll have our own scanner where we can bring in, very quickly whatever we need. But the short answer is we won't have everything for the beta, all of the assets in there for various reasons. So we're going to have to decide on a collection of assets, which you may or may not have purchased. So, if you've purchased the assets that are in that, and we're going to try to include as much as we possibly can, obviously. But if you've purchased something or haven't purchased something that's in the beta assets, then that's stuff you wouldn't have access to, obviously, after beta. But if you have, then everything, you'll still be able to save all your maps and all that stuff. If you've built with anything that's not purchased, you could always purchase it as well. But we're trying to figure out what that set of assets that we're going to be able to deliver for the beta, since we're still working on all this stuff, will be. But yeah, if you've purchased that stuff, then all those maps will be saved, and you'll be able to open all of that in the shipping version.
Awesome. Yeah, because right now, even just using this, they're seeing a lot of pieces that weren't available in the Kickstarter. So it's just, I think people are wondering if they'll be able to play with this, or is it just going to all go away and then start over, or how that's going to work.
Yeah,
So,
we're trying to decide. Obviously, there are some pieces that you're seeing here that are part of our build system that were not part of the Kickstarter. We're working very diligently, like I said, to try to get all of the Kickstarter assets, or as much as possible, in for beta, so that you guys are getting what you've ordered. But there's going to be some stuff, particularly the Dwarven Forge stuff, which may come at a later date because we have to scan it first, and there's issues surrounding that. So it shouldn't be too much longer, and I think if it's not like initially when beta comes out, the early access beta edition, by the way, is going to be, it's not just going to be one version that we bring out. We'll be updating that over the course of the beta period. So we'll be adding more assets, and as the feature improvements come out and new features come out and new assets come out, we'll be adding all of that to the beta testing group.
very cool. The next question: will you be able to use setting items that aren't in the system, like 3D items that come in Dungeon in a Box? So I think they're
Um,
asking if we can import STLs from elsewhere, which we've covered a lot in the past, or specifically ones from Dungeon in a Box. Just stuff.
yeah,
Can we get more stuff?
dungeon the dungeon in a box stuff is, if I remember correctly, they have 3D minis and campaigns and all the stuff that you need to run stuff. But those are actually physical minis. So yeah, like, people are like, can I bring in my own STLs? Can we bring in, stuff I have on my table? And the short answer initially is no, because again, STLs are not a great format for what we're doing. They're very, very heavy with a very high poly count. They're also not painted. So we are looking for ways to be able, for you to be able to bring in your STLs in the future, which will probably have to be a service, because it would have to go up to a server and be processed and decimated and all those things. So there's lots of issues which make it a not as easy as you think kind of thing. Um, but there's other ways also that we're looking at, with a whole bunch of new technology that is coming out, that will give us very unique ways to bring some of this stuff in directly within the app, directly from the app. So we're researching that and looking at those options. And then I think Dungeon in a Box also gives you like digital stuff, I think, is part of it,
That might have been what they're
which is
referring to.
digital maps and tokens. It all depends on the file format, and we have to figure out if we're going to provide a converter for like a Fantasy Grounds or a Roll20 package or something like that, or if they just give you in there the images, which you could just upload, like I said, to our supported 2D system, which is laying it down on your table and using the tokens like you would use 3D figures here. So there will be an option to bring in 2D assets. We'll have to figure out if and which platforms we support to do like package conversion, right? Going in there and just pulling out the assets so that you can upload it to our site and use it easily, or whether you need to upload the images directly. So we're looking into that stuff. But the 3D stuff is, I'm confident we can get a 2D solution easy enough. But the 3D stuff is a bit harder, just because the STLs, again, are very, very high poly. They aren't mobile performance, so it would slow the whole thing to a crawl, especially in AR. And so we need to do more work there to make it seamless and high quality enough for you guys to be able to do that easily enough. It's
Uh,
something we want to let you do. So, but that's going to be a little bit in the future.
Yeah, and I'd also like to point out that if if the projects are on board working with us, like if we were to actually speak to Dungeon in a Box and they wanted to open a store and sell their assets, that's the whole point. If you're
Absolutely.
asking, yeah, if you're asking, will my favorite digital assets be available? Be like, hey, hit them up. Tell them to get ready to open a store on the Arcana platform, and everything will be available. Anything
Yeah.
you wanna get imported, as long as they're in our system and we're communicating with them, we can get
Well,
them store.
and I mean, that's the ultimate goal, right? Like, we're going to be providing SDKs to publishers that allow them to bring their stuff on easily to our platform. That is also a little bit of a ways off. Obviously, we want to get this in all of your hot and eager hands. So that kind of stuff with that abstraction layer to let people just hook in without our involvement is going to be a further step away. But you know, we're talking to all kinds of manufacturers, so we can work with them. But what we're concentrating on is, really the best of breed, and, like, the stuff that we've all worked with before, that have huge asset libraries, so that we can curate that and create a great first experience for you. We'll definitely be bringing on, lots of other merchants and retailers, and bringing all of their minis and terrain, and, like I said, horror and urban and sci-fi and all that stuff. We've got a great sci-fi pack from Fat Dragon already from our add-on for our Kickstarter. But we'll be bringing more of that stuff in and working with additional manufacturers as we go. And then the hope is, yes, that we have an SDK and we can just say, here's the publishing guidelines, and they can bring their stuff on automatically to our store, which will, of course, make everything a lot faster, to be able to get like thousands of additional assets with everybody working on their own.
Very cool. Next, scale of 1 to 10, how awesome is this little encounter I just made?
Very cool.
Pretty
Can't
cool,
wait for you
right?
to take it through in a game session.
I know. Hey, I'm ready to go. I'm glad we had somebody else volunteer to be the DM, though. That's very exciting for me. Uh,
Yeah.
anyway, next up, do you think we'll ever work with other companies, like for them to include their items for their campaigns in Arcana? I think they're asking if we're going to do like Adventure in a Box type of deal.
Say that again.
They're just asking, do you think we'll ever work with other companies for them to include their campaigns in Arcana? So I'm assuming that means
Yeah.
stories, characters, maps, everything else all built in. Absolutely, but go ahead.
That's exactly what we were just talking about. So right now we're curating it, but so there's the all of the terrain and minis and maps and things like that. Obviously, we're starting first with the map visualization stuff, and so then we want to bring in the game automation, which will have all of the textual components of the campaign, links to all the map elements, and bring up stat blocks and all that kind of stuff. And then we want to be able to give people an SDK where they can easily just publish their content to our platform without our involvement, right? So that we can, kind of like, you know, obviously we'll vet the stuff and make sure it's good and not junky, but um, you know, giving people the ability to very easily publish to the platform. So those are kind of the stages.
Yeah, and I
So we're
think
working with companies right now, bringing on best in breed content, and then creating a game automation system that allow other people to bring stuff in, and then an SDK that allow people to self publish to the platform.
very, very, very cool. I think along the same lines, somebody's asking, will there be an exposed API for community modules?
Yeah, that's what I was just saying, basically.
Right. Yeah, I
So
just
that
making sure you clarify that for this particular question.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So the goal is to have that. It won't be obviously in the initial release because, usually, like I said, we want to get this in your hands. We want you to get you playing with it and building all the maps and doing all this fun stuff. And then we will be exposing hooks into the system to allow people and editor tools too, right? So that you can, not only paint your minis and modify your terrain, but you can, attach content to it, PDFs and hyperlink content, so you can create this full campaign that would be saved. So we'll have in platform tools to be able to do that, and then for more difficult stuff, an API that could hook in like through Unity or something, so you can create expansions that really, are crazy new things that you might want to do.
Yeah, and I think along the same lines, we'll have a kind of tracking system so you can rewatch your sessions later unfold in front of you, and that's kind of cool too, right? Like you can record all the movements as digital script and then replay them or review them. And
Yeah,
then
I mean, we want to have the streaming system, is going to be a new way for you to stream your games, so that people can, watch your stream, but watch it unfolding on their actual table, and see all the game moves and get in on your maps and like you're, like they're sitting around the table with you playing. And so part of that is obviously, there's the streaming aspect where that's live. And then there's the little bit harder aspect of recording all that stuff, right? Recording every move, basically a timeline system. But that's definitely something that we're going to be adding so that you can record the stuff and play it back, record and play back a whole session in 3D on your tabletop, which would be really amazing.
that is going to be so cool. One of the things I've been telling so many people about. I think one of the more exciting aspects, I think people being able to appreciate and enjoy their favorite streamers at a whole different dimension is going to be something that people are looking forward to. This is a fun one. Do you have any plans to have blind boxes like you can get at a game shop where you buy multiple creatures in one go? So I guess you'd have a
Yeah.
big tub of minis, and then you close your eyes and dig your hand in and pull out three of them and get random ones. I think that's fun.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, but I hate those things. Like, those things always because you never know what you're going to get, and then you end up with multiple things, right? So like what we want to do is kind of like what Apple did with the album, right? We want to split all that stuff up and we want to sell it to you individually. So everything will be available individually, each piece, each mini, so you can get just what you want, and you don't have to spend any more or any less to get it. And then yeah, we'll have packs like a monster pack of like kobolds or something, like 5 kobolds or 10 or whatever, and you'll get a discount if you buy that pack that includes all those. So we'll have bundles and sales and all that kind of stuff, or like a dungeon like Eric was just showing you with all the pieces and minis, and obviously those go hand in hand with the campaigns and all that kind of stuff. So all that stuff will be available, but I mean there's no reason we couldn't do that, but I don't know, like you guys tell me, but I just assume that I always want to just buy what I want and nothing more and nothing less, right?
Yes. Okay. I think we're at the last one. Any plans for a procedurally generated dungeon situation? I know we've talked about this internally. I don't think that we've really talked about it publicly. But procedurally generated dungeons are the hottest thing right now. Grant, how do you feel about
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, no, we've been talking about it with the developers. I mean, it's a no-brainer to add to this, right? I don't like some of these systems that are out, like that are only do that, like I think aren't great because, yeah, I mean, if you're, super in a hurry or you just need some random encounter, yes, but like usually if you're building something, you want to replicate a campaign or you want your homebrewing your content, you have something very specific in mind. So that's why we, designed this first like this because we wanted to make it a truly authentic experience, right? It, like you do in real life, you build with the train and you place your minis. And of course it's easier because you can build as big as your dreams and it's all in your pocket and it's networked and you can play around the table or around the world or and all that good stuff. But we wanted to make it an authentic experience. So, um, yeah, I mean, yes. I mean, I think, right now we're doing it this way, but there's no reason that we couldn't do it in the future. And I think we want both, obviously. We don't just be a random dungeon generator, but there's no reason that we can't do it. And we are actually talking to the devs about ways to do that using AI and machine learning and, other things. And there's some cool ideas that we'll discuss in the future, share with you guys in terms of some of the things that we're thinking. But yeah, there's no reason that we would not want to do that. So for sure.
All right. Let's start chatting with the community here. Mr. Dark Harbinger wants to chat.
Let's
Let me
do it.
unmute, mute. Oh, wait. How do I unmute? I feel like I forgot. Oh, there we go. Mr. Dark, are you there?
Yes.
Hello,
How's it going?
hello.
Awesome. What's going on?
You were talking about running scripts so that you could have pieces move on their own. So for like boss encounters, like a lich ritual, if I wanted to force the party to intervene at some point, would we be able to have a script play in the background until we can just pause and delete it for parties intervening?
You mean like having minis and stuff move around?
Yes.
Um, well, so what we were talking about more is like if you are so the first part of that is like streaming. Like we're like, instead of Twitch or something like that, we want to give you the ability to be able to stream your map moves and all that stuff to a live audience, right? Where they see the moves on the table unfold. And then, like I was saying, the second component of that, of course, we want to be able to record that stuff so you can play it back later. So someone can come in and say, hey, let me watch that whole Twitch stream live on my table. Well, that's not live anymore, right? That's recorded. So part of that's interesting that you brought that up. Like once we have that system, there's no reason that we couldn't allow you to record things in your current game session that you can trigger and play back. So you could have, army movements and stuff like that of orcs and goblins, like, kind of set the stage and then it stops and then you guys can pick up the gameplay. So that's a really interesting feature that, once we have that record system, the timeline system, there's no reason that we couldn't have you do recordings and then trigger them. Is that what you were talking about?
Yes. But on the same
Cool.
token, if you record a script, would you be able to play that script for players? Like, say, since your first iteration would just be recording what you've done, could you save that and then play for everybody that's already your group, your dungeon group?
So do you mean
Yeah.
like you could select certain miniatures and then have them do pre-programmed movements while the rest of the team is still playing?
Not initially. I'd assumed that it just play a script that you could play pause. So if they intervene,
Yeah.
you just pause it, and then you can interact with all the minis in between.
Yeah. So yeah, and that's what I was saying. So once we have basically the track system, the metadata track system functioning underneath, which would be part of this stream recording thing, there's no reason that you wouldn't be able to just initiate a recording, do that kind of stuff and save that as a clip and then play it back for your players, right? Um, so that's kind of like the animated, like recording animations kind of thing. But like when you say script, I think of like scripting stuff, like in a like being able to write computer scripts that control things in the game. That would be further off. It's something we want to do as well, but that would definitely be further off. As kind of like a in-game coding environment kind of thing that hooks into the system. But um, the steps kind of are the streaming system, and then being able to record streams, and then being able to record little clips that you can trigger and play for your players. So that's kind of the progression. And the streaming stuff we're working on. So the metadata or the recording session stuff, we're hoping to get in very close to MVP or shortly thereafter. So that the other part that you're talking about shouldn't be too difficult. We just need to do an interface for that kind of thing. I'm going to allow you to trigger that stuff. But that's very interesting. Glad you brought that up. So yeah, we'll definitely talk about that.
I just placed a gargantuan in the map next to a regular sized mini. It's so big.
Yeah,
Oh,
we gotta get that guy painted.
I know. I want him painted so bad. Oh, it's so crazy. Let me
Oh,
see
we
who
got
else.
the huge clinch troll mini that's going to be coming in. So
Oh my god,
he's
he's
huge.
gorgeous. Is he gargantuan?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh
Well,
my,
he's giant.
yeah.
But yeah, he's big. Just big as this guy.
Oh my god, I can't wait. That's gonna be awesome. You said like tomorrow,
Yeah.
right? Tomorrow.
Nice try.
um,
Soon, very soon.
Nobody else raised their hand yet, but there's a couple questions in here I can ask. Lick the sofa. I'm just gonna call him Todd now because he put his name next to Lick the sofa, so he might want to be going by Todd. He wants to be able to change the orientation of pieces, like leaning against the wall and stuff like that. I think that's a no-brainer. If you want to expand on that.
Leaning against like a coffin leaning
Like,
against the wall or something?
I was placing the coffins while we were chatting. This coffin right here, he would like to have it, the option to orient it against the wall instead of on the floor.
Right.
So just
Yeah.
like
I
this
mean,
coffin, if I put that like against the wall.
yeah, and we have right now the rotations are just spinning things around on their y-axis like that. But there's no reason that we couldn't also allow you to rotate it on any axis. We just need to give it's a very easy thing to do. We just need to give an interface, plug it into the interface and make it easy for you guys to do. We're trying to make all the, what I don't like about other systems is, they're very PC oriented and there's just all of these like tons of little buttons and like menus and 1,000 little things. Like we're trying to make this very intuitive and easy to use, and not clutter the screen with a bunch of stuff. Like even the menu stuff here will be collapsible and going away. But, we want to do as much as we can with gestures. And so we're very much at the point now where we're working on the UI and enabling all of these new features, but yet still making it easy to use. So yeah, I'm glad you brought that up as something that you want, because we're actively working on that right now. So we'll take that under advisement.
Yeah, it is crazy. Even with I'm going to put it in quotes. You can't see me, but I'm putting in quotes. Limitations of the current version. It really does make you be creative, though. I've turned walls the other way to give a different depth perception of some of this stuff, or like made something more narrow by figuring out how to rotate it properly. And the more options, the better. But you can really get creative even with what we have in the prototype, and make some really interesting and exciting stuff, and replicate a lot of the dungeons that we've already that you're familiar with.
And that's what I'm saying, like in terms of, when we release this, like we can't wait for you guys to see what you guys create with this, right? Like it's, things that we couldn't even think possible, because when you're laying this stuff out, it's true. It's like, you're like, oh, well, I can use this wall, but I can use the back of this wall to do something else. And like, it's like very much like a Lego kit, right? And not being constrained by gravity or by size or scale, and being able to build on this massive scale, it's going to be so interesting to see, all the creations that all of you come up with. So it's going to be used in ways. What we're doing is making it very flexible, with the height builds and with the way things are going to snap together. We have an intelligent snapping system that kind of auto orientates things and makes, snaps with things that are compatible, and things like that. So we're working on that right now. But basically it's going to be this big Lego construction set for you guys to be able to create all kinds of crazy things. So can't wait to see what you come up with.
Awesome. Fiery Fishy is asking, how does one raise their hand? So I'm assuming they want to raise their hand, and I'm going to unmute them. Fiery Fishy, you there? He's typing. You can talk if you have a microphone. We should be able to hear you.
Hey.
Oh, there he is. I'm afraid we can hear you, though.
We can hear him typing.
I can hear you typing that you don't have a microphone.
Maybe not.
Oh, I didn't realize it was open. Did it just like unmute me?
Yeah, I unmuted you.
Oh, okay.
Did you want to ask a question?
Yeah, with the game, is there any sort of work being done for like cinematics, for like setting the scene for when players are brought into like a map?
Oh, cool.
Yes. So yeah, first of all, there's obviously, this is great for combat, right? Which is what you normally train for. But we also want to, a lot of people we've been talking about want to build and make these like dioramas, right? Which set the scene even if there is no combat, right? Like a misty, veil around a village or something. But yeah, you we'll be able to, like we were just talking about with like the scriptable stuff, like, with animations and things like that, I think would be very interesting to add into that. But we're going to give you the ability to set camera angles and save those, right? So you'll be able to move into a particular camera angle. But the only thing you have to keep in mind is like that works in this 3D environment that Eric has up right now. But with augmented reality, it's really very much like the real world, right? So I can't force you to go into a position, right? Because you need to move, like whether it's with your iPad or eventually the AR glasses, you're going to need to move into the map and look at it just like you would as if it's sitting on a table. So cinematics is a little different there. It's hard to force people into that because basically you are your own cameraman in augmented reality. Is kind of the way I think about it. In 3D, we certainly can do that. So for instance, we'll be able to save cameras and you'll be able to call those up and it will, do a smooth transition from one camera to the next. You can save various camera angles and setups and things like that. But it's a little different the way things work in augmented reality. So we have to figure out, where it makes sense where we can do that. But definitely you'll be able to do, zoom into the POV of your character by like double tapping on their head. You'll be able to save various camera angles and save these different positions that you can then switch between to set up for your players. And that can trigger that for every player that's in 3D here. And in augmented reality, it could be, a particular position where like go stand over there and like, look at that. Or it could switch them into 3D mode and zoom into that particular thing and then switch them back to augmented reality after you've done your little bit. So I think there's ways that we can work it. It's just that augmented reality is kind of a different beast that we have to keep in mind.
Exactly, and obviously as we grow, we're going to have different technologies we can utilize. There's different situations, and for each one we can come up with fun different kinds of stuff. I think something that people don't ask about often, which is strange to me, is when are we going to start seeing some new atmospheres, and what do you have in mind for different settings, like for the 3D mode? Like, this is a very cool tavern. What else do we have in
Oh, I
mind?
mean the environment.
Yeah,
Yeah, of course. I mean, there's all kinds of cool stuff. We are, obviously this is the tavern. There could be a dragon's lair. There could be a cathedral. There could be a cemetery. There could
spaceship,
be,
spaceship.
ground. Could be a spaceship.
Yeah,
Could be a hunt. All different kinds of things. So these will be available as well for you guys to get. And for those of you that backed at the high end top tier $1,000 level of our Kickstarter, the Hall of Heroes is going to be in here. So we're creating a Hall of Heroes in here so you can actually play with all of the banners and portraits of the people who contributed at the highest tier of the game. So creating this whole thing that you can maneuver and walk around, and that is also a playable environment,
so
so that you can play a game there.
like, for example, the Hall of Heroes, somebody's portrait could be on this wall and another person on this wall, and just all around you, you can see all the
Right. I
people that
mean,
helped bring
yeah,
this to
obviously it
the.
won't be a tavern. Won't be a
No,
tavern, but it'll be an actual Hall of Heroes that we are constructing. But it'll be a playable environment. So off the credit screen, you can launch that environment and play in the Hall of Heroes. So it's gonna be pretty sweet.
very cool. I've seen Silent Spectre typing for a while here. Um, yeah, so we were talking about that a little bit earlier, Silent. He's just asking about in the future would it be possible to implement a simple program that you could put an STL file in and it spits out a lower poly Arcana file that could be uploaded to the game. So that is, I think, the thing we get asked the most.
Yeah. Yeah, we get it. Like, I totally understand people want to bring in stuff they already own. Again, those would be gray models, right? I mean, we're going to, we really want to create a paint module for this so that, you know, it's really like painting minis from, in real life. But we'll make it a lot easier because there's cool things we can do in AR to help you out. But you would be able to bring in those STLs and paint them yourself. Obviously, it would be great to begin with. But yeah, I mean, again, this is, we are using a pipeline internally that goes in and decimates these things, and we are in the process of automating that right now. So we can send things through. So, one day I imagine that we will have, and again, it'll probably be a service where you'd have to subscribe to one of our, subscription tiers might be included in that, where you get access to that service and you can upload your mini and it will be decimated and a default paint job put on and then dropped onto your tabletop after it's processed. That is entirely possible, especially now that we're automating the pipeline. So we do get that question more than probably any other question. So we hear you, and we will be looking for a solution, as well as, like I said, other ways that are a lot cooler and a lot more immediate that we're investigating. So stay tuned on that front, but we hear you.
Lick the Sofa says, "Is Mirrorscape publicly traded?" I don't think we are, but if you want to send me some PayPal, I'm willing to take it, and I promise I'll work.
We are not yet publicly traded, but that is definitely the goal. So we most recently raised our seed round, which has enabled us to bring you a lot of this stuff. But that's ultimately the goal, of course. But that'll be a little bit of a ways off, but not that far either. So we will, of course, let you guys know as soon as that happens. Should you want to invest?
All right, cool. Last chance, guys. If you have any more questions, let us know right now. Otherwise, we'll shut it down and get this process and upload it to our YouTube channel so people can check it out. But yeah,
Cool. Any last questions?
I think that's it. No one's typing. If you guys do have questions that you think of later, you know me. I'm in the chat room 25 hours a day, 8 days a week. So I'll be here helping you as best I can. I also have a direct line to Grant, so if I can't answer something, I will get the answer for you as quickly as possible. We are making sure that everyone that's a part of this community gets as good a service as possible. I do sleep once in a while, but not much, and we'll
I
get back to
dreamed
you.
about answering all your questions.
I really do, and but we also have a fantastic community, and the community is getting smarter and more well informed every day. And they've been able to help out too. I've woken up some days and just
Yeah.
had questions
It's,
answered. And,
it's
we have
amazing. Like you guys rock. I mean, we really do love you guys. Yeah, I mean, it's amazing watching the community help each other out, and like, this is a whole big deal already. Like we love it. It's only going to get bigger with, everybody coming on board and with the actual release of this product. And thank you guys so much for your support, and keep the questions coming and feature requests coming, and watch for our dev blog, and all our new announcements. We're going to be posting a lot more regularly now in terms of social posts and dev blogs and things like that, to show you all the enhancements, improvements, and features that we're bringing you. So thank you all.
The number of people that are excited to break our app during the beta test will blow your mind. They're literally just they're coming with
Yes.
hammers. They're coming with hammers.
Very, very scary.
I know, I'm terrified. It's so much fun though, honestly. We're gonna have such a good time, and you guys are gonna meet new people in the through our application, and really start playing together and telling us what needs to be better and what needs to be fixed and what you love. And please let us know what you like and what you don't like, and we pass that feedback along to the entire team every day. We have a meeting every morning and talk about you guys and what everyone's excited about and how things are going. But yeah, thanks a lot, guys. I think we're done, Grant. Unless you have
Thanks,
anything
everybody.
else.
Yeah, no, we're good. Thank you guys. Appreciate it. And Eric, thanks a lot.
All right, anytime. Talk to you guys soon.